Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a great area. I really like that whole area. She's been out there about 10 years. We used to live, my family, I was born and raised near Midway Airport.
Okay, I remember you
And,
told me that. Yeah,
and so now she's out there and she loves it. It's a really nice area, and Frankfurt's beautiful.
it is. We're really loving it. We haven't had a chance to really get out and explore a lot because of coronavirus, but we're excited to do so.
Good. James, Tony, can you unmute James? Can you hear us, James?
Yes, I can. I can.
James, Mick, I'm not sure you know James, but he's going to be doing the interviewing. And James is a $300,000 earner. Automatically next month when he goes SVP, he'll go up to $400,000 immediately. And so, Mika, I'm very proud of him, and he's going to be connecting with you a lot today, as he has every one of our sessions. So we're thrilled to have you, Mika, and we're going to send you a copy of this when it's recorded.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Right.
You're welcome. Well, James, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Okay,
Yes,
just so
sir.
you guys know, I'm getting some work done in my house, so you may hear some background noise. I just want to let you guys know. So.
Okay.
This is the world of Zoom. We're good with that.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Mika, we spoke yesterday. Pleasure having you on the call today, man. We're so excited to hear from you. You're definitely kicking some butt and just like a lightning rod shooting through diamond levels and different things like that. And so we're excited to hear your story and to have you with us today.
Thank you.
With that said, I'm just gonna let you do your thing. We definitely want you to introduce yourself to all of us, and let's hear your story.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Like I said, yes, we talked yesterday about everything, and I am definitely super excited to speak with everyone. Especially, I know we have some nurses on the line, and that is my background. That's where I come from. And so just when I think about my personal story, thinking about where I come from and going into nursing, I was the type of person who really wanted some stability. Like in my life, I wanted to make sure that I was in a career path that had stability, but also that had some decent money coming in at the same time. And so before nursing, I did obviously nursing school, but I was a waitress, worked at McDonald's. Where else did I work? I was modeling and acting. I did a lot of things, but ultimately I chose to go into nursing because I knew that I would always have a job. That nurse mindset is more so knowing that you're going to have that stable job where you'd always be able to bring in money for your family. But at the same time, loving to help people, wanting to do, better for this world. And so that's kind of why I chose to go into nursing. But as I worked as a nurse, I really realized that it really wasn't something that I can do long term. Okay. I was working from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m., which is normal for nurses. My fiance is also in the medical field. He was in medical school when I first started with Primerica. And so he's a physician now. And so definitely we have that strong medical background that we come from. But as I worked as a nurse, the hours were fine, but I actually really did hate working overnight. Working 3 days a week is what most people say for nurses, but I had to do overtime. I'm not sure about the other nurses on here, but I needed to do overtime in order to bring in enough money. And so I was working more like 4 or 5 days per week, overnight, exhausted. I was also 6 months pregnant at that point. And as I continued to work, definitely got drained. I would say I was burnt out from nursing after about a year or so. I started to kind of realize, hey, I need to do something different. And so as I looked around, I saw my nurse managers who were stressed out as well. We were pulmonary nurses, okay? So we were teaching people not to smoke. We were teaching people about respiratory issues. And my nurse manager would go out like 4 times a day to smoke. So I'm like, okay, so that is not the direction that I want to go into. I don't want to walk into her footsteps and kind of be in that same situation. And I started to look for something different. But in that mode of me looking for something different or opening up my heart for something, I went through the natural motions of, hey, let me go back to school. Let me get a master's. I'll become an NP. And then, maybe I'll specialize after that. And so what I realized as I started to think like that, I'm like, man, if I continue to do this same thing, you know, it's not going to be anything different. The only thing different is going to be my title, you know, having a few more letters behind my name. And I just continued to pray at that point, asking God for clarity, asking, you know, really, what should I be doing? And so this 2-year process of me trying to figure it out definitely was not working out for me. Also, with that, I got a promotion at the job at nursing. I became a charge nurse. And I don't know if you guys know what a charge nurse is, but we have to take care of the whole floor. We're in charge of all the nurses. We're in charge of pretty much that whole shift. And with that promotion, guys, with that promotion, I got a $1 raise, okay? And so when I got that $1 raise with all the extra responsibility, you know, being 6 months pregnant at that point when I first started to kind of go into this deal, I knew for a fact, I said, no way I'm going to be able to do this forever, because if they're giving people $1 raises to do all the extra work, and they knew that I was pregnant and definitely exhausted, having to sneak up to the room where the doctors take naps sometimes and take me a little nap. It was just crazy, right? So as I did that, guys, again, lots of prayer happened, asking God, just, you know, show me where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. Done this whole nursing thing. I'm glad I got my degree. I'm glad I have that experience. And it's awesome that I went that path, but it made it so clear to me that that was not where I wanted to be. Okay. And honestly, I believe that many nurses, you know, we go into that field because we want to help people, but many nurses know, like, it's some work that goes into that. I was helping other families, but I wasn't able to really give my own family the time that it needed, or take care of my family as I wanted to, especially about to be a new mom. Once I was going to have my child, I wasn't going to be able to give her the time that I wanted. And so working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., Nell was working 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. That was 24 hours out of the day that one of us was at the hospital. And so thank God that somebody came up to me at a party and asked me if I had the proper life insurance and investments outside of the job. Now, obviously, I'm a smart girl. I had life insurance. I had my 401k at the job, but I didn't really understand how any of it works. I just knew I had it, right? And so after she sat me down, looked at everything, and think about this, guys. I was a person who had been living on her own since 16 years old. I moved out of my house at 16, put myself through high school, college, did all this stuff on my own. So I had lived life, right? But this young lady who was younger than me, she was about 25 at the time, and she's living with her parents, you know, hadn't started a career, anything. Well, she had started Primerica, but she came up to me being way less experienced in life than me. But I had to be open-minded enough to hear this young lady out. And I'm so happy that I did. So she came by, sat down with me, showed me that I had the wrong type of life insurance. I was underinsured is what we call it. I didn't have enough coverage, and having a baby, obviously I needed more than $50,000 in coverage. Although I thought I had enough coverage because everybody else around me had $10,000 and $25,000. They were terribly underinsured. I had more than them. I thought I had everything in order with my nursing degree. I didn't have a finance degree. I had a nursing degree. So I had to make sure I humbled myself and listened to her. I didn't, I still was kind of skeptical. I'm like, man, I was taught to go to school, get a good job. That's what I did, you know, but now here comes this company educating me on my money. Let me listen. And so I went to an opportunity meeting, something that we do to make sure that we educate people. Went to the opportunity meeting, heard from her father, who was her upline. He at the time was making $100,000 per year. He was in health insurance before, so he had a different background at first also, but I listened to him. And that night, guys, I said, man, maybe this is the clarity that I've been praying about. Maybe this is what I've been praying God to show me something different. Where should I be? And so thank God I got started that night. And you all, within 4 months, right? I was 6 months pregnant, but within 4 months, I was having my child. But I also told myself that I was not going back into that hospital. I said, I'm not going back. I would cry sometimes before going to work. That's how much I really just hated going to work, guys, for that hospital, man. It was just, my fiance say maybe I just got a bad hospital or something, but it's the best hospital in Chicago, so I don't know if that's true. But I cried sometimes, and so, man, within 4 months, guys, I put in the work in this business. I put my head down, 6 months pregnant and all, put in that work, and I put myself in a position where I was making more money part-time in Primerica than I was making full-time as a registered nurse, okay? And so once I had my child, guys, I never went back to the hospital, okay? I gave them my 2 weeks within my maternity leave. So I went on maternity leave and just never had to return back to the hospital since then. And that was over 5 years ago. And within 11 months after that, guys, of working full-time in this Primerica business, I became a regional vice president. Shortly after that, started to make $100,000 per year, then 200, 300, and just continue to double my income with this amazing system that we have. And now I'll be a millionaire in the next couple days, guys. We are just a few $1,000s out from becoming a $1 million earner. And I've only been in this business for 5 years and 11 months, guys. And so, man, what I realized is that what we learn as nurses, when we work as a nurse, the hard work, all right, that we have to have, the focus that we have to take all of those exams that we take, to take the NCLEX, to take all of these tests and master our craft from an educational standpoint to a hard work standpoint. I just took those same skills and those abilities and put them into my Primerica business. And so with that, guys, I promise you, I believe that nursing did help me when it comes to being successful in this business, because I promise, for the nurses on here, you know exactly what I'm talking about, what we had to do in nursing school, you know, all the studying, all the focus, everything, we had to shut out everything. We had to have laser focus, right? Even just like medical school, with nursing school, they tell us we shouldn't have a job. We need to just go to school. We need to make sure we just focus in on this, because so many people flunk out of nursing school. And so that same focus that we had to have in nursing school and with that career path, I had to have that same focus in Primerica if I wanted to get it done fast and build it the right way. And so that's a little bit about my personal story, James. I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, man. Well, congratulations in advance for your accomplishment, going over the $1 million ring. I want to be one of the first. You know, as you talked about, you know, I just heard, I always hear recurring theme. This is like our third one. You know, like nurses like helping people. And that's what we do in Primerica. We really make a difference. We make a lot of money and we make a difference too. Talk about how important that is to you, you know, just considering your nursing background, that you're also helping people as well.
Definitely. I absolutely love helping people. So I always I'm glad you asked that, because I always like to clear that up, because sometimes when people hear me say, I hated my job, right? When you hear me say that, you're like, oh, she must not like helping people. No, I love helping people. But as a nurse, it was a different type of help. It was almost like, with my hospital, I felt like I couldn't help the people like we needed to, because we had too many patients. We were overworked, never getting a break. And so, man, it was just, we were in a situation where we couldn't really help the people and spend that time with our patients like we want to. As nurses, we want to be able to kind of be there, talk to our patients, and really take care of them to give them what they need. And so, although I love helping people, I feel like now it's the same thing. I'm helping people, but now I'm just helping them with their finances. You know, everybody in life, you know, they want one or two things, or they want both. They want financial freedom, or they want time freedom, or they want both. Okay. For me, I wanted both time freedom and financial freedom. And what I realized is that a lot of people, they have one or the other, right? If you have time freedom, you usually don't have any money, because maybe you just don't have a job, right? So you got all the time in the world to do whatever you want to do because you don't have a job, or maybe you're not busy, you're not ambitious, right? And then the other people who have financial freedom, they have money, they usually have no time. They're time broke. And for me as a nurse, I was time broke. I had no time, man, doing all the overtime, fiance working all the time. We had no time, but we had a decent amount of money coming in because of the overtime. We were overworked. And so what I realize now is that, man, with knowing that people, there are other people who want the same things, so many other people who want time freedom and financial freedom. If I can help them do that, then, man, I'm still helping people, and I'm helping people in a much bigger way, right? I'm not helping people once they get to the hospital and now they're sick, now helping them get nursed back to health. No, I'm being proactive in a situation, helping people improve their lives. Man, I have regional vice presidents who are under me who have completely improved their lives, who we all come from different backgrounds when it comes to our career paths, but now they're all in here, and 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 of my RVPs make over $100,000 a year in income. And my first one, was my best friend. So to be able to help my best friend, knowing that she's super smart, she has her master's degree, she was a psychologist, had a psychology degree, well, she has a psychology degree. She was a dean in a high school, but seeing that, man, I see so much more in you. I see so much potential in you. Let me just show you how to go from good to great. Man, to me, that's a more powerful way to help somebody, to help them go from good to great. Not only my best friend, but also the other ones that I've met through this process, people that I've gone to high school with, right? Went to high school with them, you all. Now we've circled back around and now we're in business together and they thank me, right? Even those people that, man, you had to push to get on this Zoom. You have to push them to get on this meeting. You have to push them to see the Primerica opportunity. I promise you, when you help them, when you get them to show up and you show them that this thing works, guys, I promise you, a year down the line, they're going to thank you because you helped them. They're going to thank you because you showed them this Primerica opportunity. And so, man, it is just so fulfilling, right? One of the things that that Tony Robbins always says is that if you want to have a fulfilled life, you have to give back. You have to grow and you have to give. And I feel as though in Primerica, we get to give so much in the form of coaching, in the form of mentoring, in the form of guiding the other people who have come into this business to follow us. And so I definitely feel so fulfilled in this moment right now, just being able to say, man, look at my organization, the people who chose to follow me, now they're doing big things and they're living their best life as well. And so, yes, I love helping.
All right. And so I believe you kind of alluded to it, but talk about the things that stood out, in the Primerica opportunity. Let's go there a little bit.
Definitely. So definitely a lot of things stood out for me. I guess I can kind of start with when the opportunity was first presented to me. The one thing, James, that really stood out to me is, I don't know if you all have this slide in your presentation where it shows the compensation plan, but the slide that she showed me, it showed me how I could help a family change their life insurance, right, from a bad place to a good place, take about an hour of my time. And as a district leader, I can make about $500. Okay. And so when she showed me that, I said, okay, let me calculate to see how much money I'm making as a registered nurse. Okay. How much am I making as a registered nurse first? Right. And in a 12-hour overnight shift, guys, I was making about $372 in a 12-hour overnight shift. Make sure you take the taxes out. See, sometimes we think we're making all this money, but we're adding those taxes in. Well, you don't take that taxes home, right? They take the taxes out of your check before you get it. And so I take the taxes out, and then I showed myself exactly what I was bringing home from a day's work. $372. But this young lady, she showed me how I can make at least $500 for helping a family out with that life insurance application as a district leader. And so for me, it was like a no-brainer at that point, even though I still kind of gave her the runaround and kind of said I wanted to do my research, all this crazy stuff, because I was skeptical, I guess, because we all have been so brainwashed to think that we have to go to school and get a good job and do it that way. That's what I thought at that point. It was still a no-brainer to me, because, man, if I can make $500 in an hour of my time, that solves my issue for both time freedom, and now I'm on my way to financial freedom because I can make more money in less time. And so now, instead of giving 12 hours to the hospital, give 1 hour to my business, and now I have 11 other hours to go ahead and give back to my daughter, to help build my business, to give to my family, to whatever I wanted to give it to, because now I'm making more money in less time. So definitely that's one thing that stood out for me. Another thing that stood out for me was the fact that, again, I believe that I am a smart young lady and I know that I'm educated and all that good stuff. But I remember when my grandmother passed away, we had a life insurance policy. She had two, actually, but we still ended up having to come out of our pocket to pay for her funeral. And I never understood, well, what happened? I just kind of took upon the mindset of life insurance companies don't pay out. But what I realized when she broke down the difference, right? She educated me. She broke down the difference between whole life insurance and term insurance. And when she broke that down, I said, that's what happened to my grandmother. She borrowed from her policy, never paid it back. And so therefore, a $50,000 policy turned into a $2,000 policy. And she was still paying on that policy, but we ended up only getting $2,000 to bury her with. And so the fact that I had gone to school for 4 years and never learned this. That was another thing that stood out for me, because if she can go and get a license, sit in a couple day class and go get a license and have this information that I did not have after going to school for 4 years, I said, oh, this is crazy, right? And so it stood out for me because I said, man, if my family didn't know this, if this happened to us, I'm sure, first of all, a lot of my other family members may have policies just like this, and we need to fix it. I had a policy just like that. I hadn't borrowed from it, but I needed to fix it. And I said, man, if we're in this situation, I'm sure there are so many other people that are in this same situation, guys. And so, man, the education definitely stood out for me. So sold out to that. And when I came in and really with that mindset of, let me show other people exactly what she taught me, the money was a bonus, right? So when I started to get the 500, the 400, the 300, the 750, all of the money that we make in the base shop and as an RVP, when I started to get paid, it was a bonus because I came in really focused on, let me hit all of my family. Let me make sure I go to them and educate them so we can make sure that they are good. And so education is another thing that stood out for me. And then I'll say the last thing that really stood out, or one of the last things that stood out for me that I'll mention today, is the fact that there is no ceiling. Okay. There's no ceiling on how much money we could make, right? So I am a super ambitious person. I'm the type of person that's going to compete. I'm the type of person that's going to always go for the top. I'm going to go for the goal, guys. I'm going to try and take this thing all the way. That's the type of person that I am. And so seeing so many people in the company who make upwards of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $1 million earners, seeing so much greatness in the company, knowing that, man, I have the potential to take this thing as far as I want to, was a major thing for me, because I wanted to understand that I could go ahead and drive this thing as far as I wanted to. And so with jobs, guys, with careers, you don't have that control and that flexibility. You are going to be capped at some point. They're not going to allow you to make as much money as you want to make. And so, man, in Primerica, we have the ability to make as much money. We have the ability to build a business as big as possible. And man, we have the ability to get mentored by people like a Bill Orender, right? Man, to be able to learn. So I've learned so much from Bill Orender since I've been here on building a business that I would have never learned if I wasn't in Primerica. And so there's just so many principles that we learn here. And I'm so happy that I was able to get all the education from Tennille when she sat down with me.
Well, man, you just keep setting me up wonderfully for my next question. So talk about those, I mean, you've moved fast. You got some nurses in here. They're ready to go. You got guests in here, period. They're just ready to get on board. I'm ready to sign up again. Give us some of those success tips that you focused on that caused you to move the way you've moved.
Definitely. And so, man, there's so many things that you could focus on. And I believe that sometimes people focus on too many things. But I can give you guys a quick few that I believe that really have been the center of my focus since I've been in the business. And this is from district leader to all the way where I am now as senior vice president. It's the same things. And I encourage you guys that when you get involved, you just focus on the main things and you don't change your focus. Just keep focusing on that one thing. Don't change it. Keep it consistent. And so the one main thing that I would say I focused on the most, and I still do, is recruiting. Making sure that we continue to recruit like crazy. When I came into the business and I was in for a few months and I felt like, man, I'm working. I asked myself, when am I going to find somebody who wants to win as bad as I do? And my upline, when I talked to Coach Mallett about that, he said, man, just stay focused on recruiting. And I promise you, eventually those people will come. And so we've always focused on getting to double-digit recruiting by leading from the front. Meaning you're getting at least 3 to 5 directs every single month. And so double digits, that's going to start happening once you lead from the front with your 3 to 5. And so recruiting was the main thing, right? The law of large numbers is huge, making sure that you don't look left, don't look right. As long as you could recruit the masses, I promise you guys, this thing will start to take a life of its own, right? A lot of people are like, man, you're recruiting almost 200 people a month now through your base shop, 500 through your hierarchy. How are you doing that? Well, we've been been focused on recruiting for the last 5 years. You know, that's been our focus. And so now, just like the rule of 72, I believe that the bodies are going to start to compound as well, because you're getting more and more people into your business who want to focus on what you're focused on. And then it just takes a life of its own. And so if you are on here and you're not in yet, understand that every business is recruiting. Every business, when you see those now hiring signs out there, guess what? They're recruiting for their business. And so when you come into this business, I want you to think like a business owner, and you always want to be expanding, and we expand by recruiting. And so recruit, and through that process, we're going to build. Right. So now the second thing I would say is focused on building. And so that's another thing you want to focus on, from recruiting to building. Now, a few points with building is making sure people get off to a fast start. So when you come into the business, or if you just got started in the business, you got to go and get off to a fast start. You got to get your field trainer in front of people right away. You got to get them in front of your best people right away, so you can go ahead and build your best friends. You heard me say my best friend is in this business. She'll go over $200,000 a year this week in income, guys. My best friends. So your best friends, my sisters in the business, right? My old classmates are in the business. And so you want to go ahead and get people in front of your close-knit people right away, so that you can get off to a fast start. And then with that, you're going to make sure your downlines adopt that same mindset of recruiting and building. As soon as a new person comes into the business, we're talking to them about getting their 3, right? Because we want to make sure that we have those multiplication going with us and working for us in the business. So recruiting and building will be the main 2 focuses that I would say you should focus on. Also, I would say mastering the fundamentals. And so prospecting, right? Winning presentation, setting phone calls or setting appointments, handling objections, getting people off to a fast start, which we just talked about. Also knowing your product, and also recruiting people at the KT. And so those 7 fundamentals are super, super, super important, because those are like the most important things, the pillars in the business, I'll say. Those are the most important pillars in the business. And so you want to make sure you master those as well. But above all else, above everything else, guys, what I think the main thing that you have to do is you have to work on your mindset, okay? Self-improving every single day. That has been the most important thing that I could do, because as I grow as a leader, guys, it allows me to have the ability to lead other leaders. Right? So you come in, and maybe when you first start, you're able to lead followers. You got some followers, you're able to lead them. But when you get other leaders on your team, you need to be in a position to lead other leaders. And I believe, read my books, the John Maxwell's, everything that Primerica has from Art Williams. I've read Bill Orender's books, right? Larry Waddell's books. Reading those books and self-improving on a daily basis, listening to audios, listening to YouTubes to learn how I can become a better person. To have done that for the last 5 years, just every single day, all day, that has definitely helped me. And so, man, if you're not self-improving, you need to self-improve every single day. Even if you just start off with 10 minutes a day while you drive to the store, drive to the office, or whatever you're doing, right? You need to make sure that you are self-improving every day, because you want to be able to lead other people. And so mindset, building, duplicating yourself, 7 fundamentals, recruiting, those are the things that I would focus on if I had to choose a few.
All right. Now, in these next few minutes, and of course, that was excellent. But sell us a dream a little bit. Talk to us about how your life has changed.
Man, oh man, life is good. So life has definitely changed. I love the quote, will your next 5 years be like your last 5 years? And I promise you, these last 5 years have been totally different than the 5 years before that, okay? I promise you. When I think about, first of all, the amount of money that I was bringing in as a registered nurse compared to what I'm bringing in now. So I was making, as a registered nurse, $60,000 a year is what I was making. And now being able to make $1 million a year 5 years later is definitely one huge difference, right? Being able to have that. And so a lot of people say, you know, well, money isn't everything. And I agree with you. Money isn't everything, but money does allow you to have everything that you want in life. Money does allow you to have options, right? Options to have the option to do certain things. Like right now I'm sitting in my house that we just were able to purchase. We stayed in our condo for the bulk of the time that we've been in the business. But in November, we just bought a new house to be out here in Frankfurt, to be able to buy this huge house. My baby Jordan wanted an upstairs. She wanted a basement. She wanted a swimming pool. And now she has that. And so to be able to give my daughter that different upbringing, just a way different upbringing than what I had, is a major thing. And it feels so good. And so definitely more money, definitely, you know, upgrading our living standards and living in a home as opposed to a condo. You know, material things, obviously cars. You know, I just bought my fiance a Tesla. I surprised him with a Tesla and he's super excited about that. But on top of that, guys, right, when I look at my savings and investments, when I look at how I was operating when it came to my money, I was living more so in a debt cycle before, meaning that I'm using my credit cards, paying off a portion of it, not paying them all off, but paying off a portion, using them again, paying off a portion. But it was just this debt cycle that I was in, even as a registered nurse, right? Even with this good job, I was still, you know, or this good job, I'll say, I was still in a debt cycle. Okay, but now I'm able to be in a cash cycle. I was able to pay off $80,000 in student loan debt. Yes, nursing cost me $80,000 to go through that education and get that degree that I had, that piece of paper that I'm not even using, but I'm so thankful that I did go that route. However, $80,000 has been paid off by Primerica. My nursing career would have never allowed me to pay off $80,000 in student loan debt. A lot of my nursing friends, they're okay with dying with that debt, you know, and that they're okay with that. It's like, Sally Mae's never going to get paid back. But I didn't want that on my conscience. And so I was able to pay that off thanks to Primerica. Also credit card debt, all of that was paid off. $30,000 in credit card debt completely paid off. So to be in a situation where we can do that is awesome. Also, my mom, I was able to have her leave her job and she now does not have to work, and I just pay her money every month to be able to have that freedom to not only fire my boss, but also fire my mom's boss, right? That feels amazing, right? So many of you have parents who do so much for you, or they've done so much for you, and you just want to bless them back. You want to say thank you. And what better way than to be able to say, Mom, guess what? Or Dad, guess what? You don't have to go to that job anymore. You know, our parents are older now at this point anyway. They shouldn't have to continue to work if they're not on track to retire. So Primerica allowed me to go ahead and say, don't worry about it. I'm going to make sure you're good. And so don't even worry about it. So that's great. Investments, you know, we talk about investing the difference. We talk about mutual funds. We talk about making sure that you save your money. And so I've been able to do that. 80% of my income goes straight to investments, goes straight to mutual funds, goes straight. I don't even see it in my bank account. It goes straight to working for me. And so to be able to invest 80% of your income, man, it just feels amazing. And so just having that peace of mind, guys, when you go to the store, you don't have to check your account first before you make a transaction. Just having that peace of mind of knowing that everything is paid for, all is well, not having to argue with your spouse over finances, right? That's why a lot of people get divorced from financial issues. And just to not even have that be a factor in your life, man, means everything. So I promise you guys, I could go on and on and on about what Primerica has done for me, traveling to all these places, meeting amazing people, just stretched me in so many ways, allowed me to become such a better person and a more informed person and a more educated person. And so I'm just so thankful for this opportunity. For those of you who are not in, go ahead and give it a shot. I have to tell myself as I close, I have to tell myself, you know, what do I have to lose, right? What do I have to lose, right? What do you have to lose? And so, man, go ahead and get involved with the company if you're not already involved. But if you are involved, go all out with this thing. Give it your all. Get laser focused and put that same work ethic that you give to nursing, put that into your business. And I promise you, you'll build a business where you can leave a legacy behind for generations to come. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, Mika. It was such a powerful 30 minutes. I mean, your story, as Bill always says, I could talk to you and ask you question after and you know, on and on. You've done such a great job. Also, before I let you go, I just want you to know I do follow you on Instagram, and your little girl is so precious and bright. She is
Thank
so smart,
you.
and you can definitely see why and how. So, man, you are such a great example to everyone, to all of us out there, and we thank you for your time today. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All
See you
right.
guys soon.
All right. Next week, teammates, we got Mike Wells from Florida, police officer. So make sure you're on next week for Laser Focus Recruiting at 12 p.m. Same day. This time next week, same time. Take care.